Welcome back, guys. We are now on video 5 from chapter 6. Yeah, I'm sorry, some chapters just have too many concepts and it takes forever to get through them, so bear with me here. We're getting to the end. What happens when the price drops? So in the previous video, we were discussing equating marginal utility per dollar and was a little bit cut off in the end because I can only record 15 minutes and I lost track of time. Sorry about that. But now we are in this last video and, well, maybe it's the last video. Do not hold me to that. I'm going to try and make it that way. So what happens with when the price drops? Okay. This should be really when. I need an editor. And my editor is always out. Okay. Two things happen. The relative price falls and the consumer's real income increases. These are the two things that happen. Now, what does it mean the relative price falls? The word relative is when you're comparing one thing to the other. So what we're saying is when a product goes on sale, it becomes cheaper against the other prices in relationship to, in comparison to, relative to the other products. It is now cheaper. So the consumer is going to say, oh, so this is one brand of detergent and it's cheaper than the other comparable brands of detergent, and that makes it now more attractive to me because I begin to see more value. Because mathematically, if your marginal utility stays the same and the price drops, you're going to end up with a bigger number, right? When your nominator is bigger than your denominator, you're going to end up with a bigger final number. So the value goes up. The second thing that happens is that the consumer's real income increases. What does that mean? What's real income? If you remember from macro, real income is when you deduct the inflation from the income itself. And so you are reducing, you're taking out the inflated price, so you are left with how much it really buys. Kind of like, a dinner at an Italian restaurant, a local Italian restaurant in Springfield is going to be the same thing. Like, let's say chicken parm is going to be more expensive than perhaps if you were to buy the same meal in Chicago or in Los Angeles or in San Francisco. That means the same amount of money buys less, therefore the consumer's real income is smaller in those cities because the prices are higher against the income that they have. So two things are happening when something goes on sale. First, we view it as having more value because it's cheaper than its substitutes or competitors. And two, the amount of money we have can go farther. So if I said to you, I don't want to shop, I want to shop a discount store, what I'm saying is I want the amount of money I have. I want my $100 to buy me more goods and services from the discount store than the place that doesn't discount quite as much. So that is what happens when the price drops. This is what's happening in the minds of the consumer. What we're going to do next is we're going to learn about the substitution and income effects. So my job here is to show them to you. I'm not going to be asking you a ton of questions about them, but I do want to show them to you. And if something touches on them, you have a concept. We have something called a budget constraint curve. You've actually seen one, believe it or not, called the PPC, the production possibilities curve, before. But the PPC is different because of the law of increasing opportunity cost, which lacks here. A budget constraint curve touches both axes, right? So here's what we have here. We have Rose. Rose has a budget of $100. Rose likes to spend her $100 on movies and books. The books have a price of $5 each. The movies have a price of $2.50 each. So this means that with her $100 budget divided by the $5 for the price of each book, she can buy a maximum of 20 books. That's why we're up here on a 20. With her $100 budget, if all she's doing is buying movies, 100 divided by 250, well, she can buy a maximum of 40 movies. The reason a budget constraint curve touches the axis is because it's possible to spend your money on either Y, the books, or X, the movies. Now, most people do a combination of some sort, right? So most people, if she buys, let's say, just 8 books and 12 movies, she's not spending $100. But if she is buying 12 books and 16 movies, she is actually. So it depends on whether she's spending all her income or less than her income. She might be in the frontier. This is our budget constraint curve. It's a constraining to your budget. It limits how much you can buy because it's constrained, it's limited by your budget, right? This is really the best way to phrase it. So a budget constraint curve can pivot, and I actually have video I make all these videos for you, right, where I draw things and you see me, and just watch those as well. this is our overview, and I just want to give you not a walkthrough, more of an explanation. But if you need more, by all means, that's why I have all the other videos for you. So budget constraint curve pivot. This curve here is showing us that at one point, this person's budget allowed them to buy 60 units of Y and 30 units of X. But now, because X most likely went on sale, because now you can buy twice as much by 50%. So this is showing us, hey, look, X dropped by 50%. Now the budget allows this person the same amount of money to buy twice as much. So instead of a maximum of 30, this person can buy a maximum of 60. This is a pivot on X. That means X is the one that went on sale. What if you had a pivot on Y? What if, for instance, this curve, the green one, went in like this, right? What if it did that? Well, if it does that, then this is actually going to show you here. What if we did that? This pivot that I just showed you means that Y became more expensive, and therefore the maximum that you can buy from it has significantly actually increased, right? And what if I was, for instance, to show you this instead, right? Then this shows this pivot. It shows you that Y actually became cheaper, and therefore you can buy a maximum of it. So it can pivot on Y, and it can pivot by showing us that more is being bought or less is being bought. Obviously, you can also have a pivot on X, so you could have had this happen, right? And this means X actually became more expensive, and instead of a maximum of 30, you have a maximum of, let's say, 10, which probably means that the price had to have increased by 67%. That's what that means. Okay, let me erase those and go to the next one. Now, when you have budget constraints, you're going to have indifference curves. And indifference curves really are, in essence, demand curves. An indifferent curve is a line that shows all the possible combinations of two goods between which person, a person is indifferent. So here's what you're saying here. It's as if I said to you and I said, look, we have 10 hours. How do you want to spend them? And you say, I don't care really. I don't really care what we do with those 10 hours. I'm glad to spend 10 hours with you. I don't care if we spend 7 hours cleaning the house and working and 3 hours relaxing, or if we do the opposite. We relax for 7 hours and clean for 3. It doesn't really matter. So this person is actually saying, I don't care which one we do, how we split the 10 hours. So I am, whether we are here with 6 hours of leisurely time and 4 hours of work, right here, point A, or if we are at point B and we are doing 3 hours of leisurely work and of leisure and 7 hours of work, it's irrelevant to me. I am indifferent. So what indifferent means is we usually say, I don't care. Or somebody says, hey, what do you want to do? I don't really care how we spend the afternoon. They don't mean I don't, I don't. They're just saying you choose, and I'm going to be happy either way. My satisfaction level will be the same no matter how we split our time and we do which activity. That's the indifference curve, and they actually come together. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here because I don't want to interrupt the discussion once I start the substitution and the income effects. There are only those two concepts left, but I'm going to need another video for them. I know you love it that I've done that to you. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. It's how long this chapter is. Okay, I'll see you in the last video. Have a good one for now.